Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite houses, the 11th house. First, we're going to talk about some of the symbols of the 11th house, help you identify what it is, what energies relate to the 11th house. Then we're going to talk about some planets in the 11th house and how you can, identify those if you have them in your chart. And lastly, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can connect with your 11th house. And I'm kind of winging this one because it's a little bit wild, the 11th house. And I feel it's something that I'm very familiar with because I have two really important planets in there in my midheaven. So let's get into the video. So the 11th house is the social collective. It is the groups that we form a part of. It is not just groups in general, but it is the groups that we ourselves identify with. It is the friends and friend groups that we feel we belong in. The 11th house is the place where we belong. It is opposite of the 5th house, and the 5th house is where we express ourselves, and in the 11th house we find our audience, who is going to listen to us, who is going to watch us shine when we express ourselves. That is the 11th house. And the 11th house is also a niche sort of place, because even though it is the collective, the 11th house is the social collective, but that big social collective has its subdivisions, right? So not everybody is a part of every single group. And this is where subcultures come in. And I remember when I was taking sociology, when I found out about subcultures, I was just like, oh, this is my jam. I knew that subcultures were a place where I would feel I belonged, right? So this is true for a lot of 11th house people, and Aquarians are going to be like, yeah, me too, because Aquarius in the 11th house. Within culture, we have these subcultural groups where we find support and where we find, especially our identity, if you have some planets in there, right? So when we form a part of these groups, we not only derive information from them, we don't only get things from them, but we provide things for them, because groups are stronger when they have more numbers. Also, in a sense, the 11th house is kind of like your social net, your support group that extends wider than your family. It is the place where you feel that people will understand you no matter how weird you are. And this is where the whole niche thing comes in. So if you have a lot of planets in the 11th house, or an important planet in the 11th house, then you could be the kind of person who only feels like a certain kind of people like you. And you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. So the 11th house is where we're going to find support for the things that we believe in. It is the house of our hopes and dreams also. And that is where we would go to find help in order to make our dreams and hopes come true. It always makes me think of Obama when I use the word hope. He's an Aquarius rising. So the 11th house is also an air house. So it's important to remember that there's something in there that has to do with ideas. So groups of people kind of form themselves in groups around certain ideas, and that is what you have to think of when you think of the 11th house. So like vegans, they're a group of people. They are a group of friends, a network, a family that shares a certain ideal, right, or idea. And then you have, punk rock people. We don't even have punk rock anymore. Then you have the TikTokers. That's another social group. So like social media and the types of social media you're on, those are subcultures that you're in. And then within that social media that you're on, like right here, we're on YouTube, the YouTube community. This is a community. And within that community, we have the spiritual community on YouTube, and then within the spiritual community you have the astrology community on YouTube, and then within the astrology community then we have the Puro Astrology, which is where I'm at and where you guys are at. So how we identify the 11th house is by looking at the groups that we form a part of and the ideas that those groups are associated with. What kinds of things do you believe in that the people that you're friends with also believe in? And that's pretty simple with the 11th house. And remember also, that's where we can go to get support for our ideas, and where we go and, divulge our ideas in order to get our ideas to become stronger. Because again, ideas are stronger when more people believe them or support them. And that is the whole air element within that house. So I think it's pretty straightforward. If the 11th house had somebody there to greet you, if it was a place, you would knock on the door. Who would greet you if it was a place? Well, I think that in the 11th house, probably a best friend that you met maybe at school, or somebody that you met playing like Magic the Gathering, or somebody that you met skating, like a skating friend, a friend that you have things in common with, that you share ideas with. That is who would greet you at the door if the 11th house was a place. So next, some planets in the 11th house. So if you have your sun in the 11th house, then you are going to derive a lot of meaning from the types of social groups that you were a part of, and a lot of meaning that relates to who you are. It'll be kind of like a layer of your identity. So those are the kind of people that are like, I'm vegan and I'm going to get a vegan tattoo, or I'm going to wear like a necklace that says vegan. A necklace would be more Venus. I have Venus in the 11th house. And when I was a vegan, I used to wear a necklace that said vegan. Oh my God, I'm so annoying. That collective movement that you are a part of is going to be really important to you if you have a sun in the 11th house. Also, you could be a bit of a nonconformist. You could be a part of subcultures when you have your sun in the 11th house, not just the general normie culture, but the subculture within the subculture. That would be you if you have, there's like an Aquarian light element to your sun when you have it in the 11th house. You also can express yourself in a unique and different sort of way. If you have your moon in the 11th house, then this means that the collective is where you go to kind of recharge, and you soothe yourself by being part of something greater than you. And when you have your moon in the 11th house, then you really need your friend groups, because remember, your moon is also your needs. So you not only need friends, just like everybody needs friends, but you really need them to feel comfortable and to feel loved and to feel just basically okay. You're going to need your friends, and you're going to need to have a network around you. So your belief system is going to really influence the kinds of people that you associate with. And also, when you have the moon in the 11th house, you can be open to making all sorts of different kinds of friends, because the 11th house holds so many groups of people. And when your moon is there, then that means you welcome all kinds of people within your heart, because that's your moon. If you have your Venus in the 11th house, then you're going to pay attention to a lot of trends. And Venus, especially for women, is going to reflect the way that they dress themselves. So you're going to be tapped into the latest trends in order to adorn yourself in that way. And also, when you have Venus in the 11th house, Venus is also where you mingle and how you mingle. Then you're going to, but remember that Venus is very lighthearted. This is where you're going to chit chat, right? So you're going to have friends in all sorts of little groups. And these don't have to be like the kinds of best friends that you have for the rest of your life, unless your Venus is in Scorpio or something like that, or you have a very fixed Venus. But this is where you're going to go to mingle, and you're going to have, your tarot friends, and you have your church friends, and you have your yoga friends, and all these little places. That's where you're going to mingle, and it's going to be lighthearted, because Venus is lighthearted and very balanced, right? You're not going to be too intense with that Venus. If you have Mars in the 11th house, then that is where you bring your warrior element. Then you are going to have causes that you believe in and you want to fight for. You want to be the champion of certain causes and ideas when you have Mars in the 11th house. And not only just in word, but in deed, because Mars is also our energy that we expend and what we actually do. And when you have your Mars in the 11th house, then those are the kinds of things that you're going to want to work towards. You're going to want to advance certain social causes, the ones that you believe in, the ones that you find worthwhile. Also, when you have your Mars in the 11th house, then you can likely work well with others, or you will want to. Well, working well with others is going to depend on the sign, right? If you have your Mars in Leo, then that's going to be very self-focused. But if you have it in the 11th house, then you are going to find yourself working with other people to advance a certain kind of cause. If you have Mercury there, Mercury is where you expend mental energy. So you are going to be plugged into the collective, like on social media, you're going to be there. And Mercury is also where you might get your ideas. So that's where you go to kind of brainstorm. And it's kind of like, that's where you bounce ideas from. So if you have Mercury in the 11th house, then you're going to be the kind of person that needs to go bounce ideas off of your friend, or try to see what's going on Twitter. What are people thinking about this certain thing? when you have Mercury in the 11th house, sometimes it can be difficult to know what things you actually think yourself versus where did I get this from? Like, why am I thinking this way? You could be really on the cutting edge of things because you are so fast to find out any new thing that is popping up, because the 11th house is like all new things and social movements and social causes that are brand new. So you're going to know those things before any of your friends do. But at the same time, it's like, where did it come from? Chicken before the egg. Did you come up with the idea yourself, or did you get it from online? Did you find it on TikTok? If you have Saturn there, Saturn people in the 11th house, they could struggle to make friends, and at the same time, they could very much want friends. So it's kind of difficult, Saturn in the 11th house in that way. If you have Neptune in the 11th house, that's pretty nondescript, but you can have also the outer planets. Really, the thing that affects them most is when they're connected to inner planets. So Neptune is going to be really out there. Like, spirituality is a part of how you relate to others on a global scale. If you have Uranus there, that's like a double dose. Like, you could have really weird friends, or friends that come in and out of your life, not very like stable, because Uranus is very unstable. Let me see what other.
For Jupiter, guys, Jupiter is going to mean that you learn from your friends and you also teach them. And not only that, but being a part and experiencing social movement is going to be a really big part of how you experience spiritual growth. Pluto there, Pluto is most important when it's connected to a personal planet, but Pluto there is going to mean that you are very passionate about your friends and you might be a little bit like, it'd be really hard to let go of your friends when you have Pluto there. It doesn't matter what sign it's in. You could be very serious about friendship, even more serious than you are about maybe romantic relationships.
So one tip on how you can connect with your 11th house, and this is really simple, guys. So being a part of a community is really important if you have planets in the 11th house. And I don't know if this tip will be redundant or if this will be like groundbreaking. Maybe if you have a lot of planets in the 11th house, this will come natural to you and you might already know this. But the things that you are interested in, your passions found in your 5th house, the things that you really love, find a community, especially online, who you can talk to about these things. This is where you can make your skating friends. This is where you can make your astrology friends. That's what I like to call people that I talk to astrology about. Astro friends. You guys are my astro friends. So you have passions in the 5th house, the things that you are interested in and you are drawn to, the things that make you happy, bring joy to your life. Those things, find a way to share them online. This is very much what I do, in the 11th house. I have Venus there. So find a way to share the things that you love with a community, because that makes your passion grow and it brings a lot of joy to your life. The 11th house is a very happy place because it is the groups that we are a part of consciously. It's where we want to be. You might have grown up maybe going to a particular kind of church, but you grow up later on and when you're an adult, you realize that, hey, like, that doesn't really resonate with me. I want to move to a different kind of church. Or I want to stop going to church altogether and maybe start going to yoga. I don't know why those things are mutually exclusive. So to some people they are. And if it's mutually exclusive to you, you will know what I mean. So the groups that you consciously form a part of, that is the 11th house. And we derive a lot of satisfaction from that. So find a way to share the things that you love with a group of people, because that makes your heart grow happy and it makes your passion stronger and it connects you to others, and that is always a good thing. And before I go, I am a hermit and I like to be an island, so there's nothing wrong with that. But studies show that people who have a social group, a social net of support, live longer. So in the interest of living longer, I have Saturn in my 1st house, so I want to live a long time. In the interest of living longer, let us create, cast a wider net and create a group of friends around us that is really going to support us, especially in these trying times, guys. It's really nice to have friends and people that we can mingle with in order to make our days happier and really to have things to look forward to. So that's the video for today, guys. If you have any questions, if I missed anything, make sure you leave it in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for being here and for being part of my Astro Friends community here. You guys are my Astro Friends. So thank you for being here. I really love you and appreciate you. even though I might not say because I'm a rising Capricorn and I'm very cold. But that's for another video. Thanks for being here. Bye.